Hello, my name is Richard Corbett from emergebydesign.net, and welcome to my weekly human design and astrology transit forecast starting on Monday, February 10th and going through Sunday, February 16th. Now, before we jump into the charts, I do want to announce a course that my partner, Brandy Jordan from Emerge by Design, that we are offering starting on the first week of March called Awaken. I'll put a link on the screen so you can read more about it. We are hoping, and our intention is to offer the most comprehensive foundational course on human design and astrology that's ever been shared. I have been working with the human design system for 25 years now as a certified analyst. I have worked with thousands of clients and students. I'm going to be bringing everything I have learned through that process to help you understand and integrate this knowledge into the body. My partner Brandy is a trained psychologist and a trauma-informed therapist. She's been working with the human design for over 8 years. She also is going to be bringing all of the things she's learned about the roadblocks we run into, the challenges with our body that prevent us from actually living our design and following our authority. So together, we're going to come at this from so many different angles, but we're going to do it with plain, logical language. Simple, easy to understand, not only from human design and astrology, of how we can integrate and embody this knowledge so that we can live a more fulfilled life, follow our authority, which we're always talking about human design, but there's often not a roadmap. What does that really mean? How does it actually happen? How do we move past challenges and limitations that actually prevent this information from reaching our higher self and helping us follow our authority? So please read more about this course if it interests you. It's really for all skill levels. I mean, if you're brand new to the human design system, you couldn't find a better place to start. But if you've been working with the system for a few years and have gotten confused, it is a confusing science, and moving it from the intellect into the body can often be a challenge. So, with everything that we'll be sharing, we want to make it simple, logical, easy to follow, and be very supported with all of our experience and knowledge to get you on your path. So, yeah, check out the link. We hope to see you there. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. Okay, thank you for that. Now, let's get down into this week. Start on Monday. We can see that the sun is in gate 49, where it moved into last week. And I did a little bit deeper dive on this in the last couple weeks, but I just want to do one last reminder because this full moon that we're going to have on Wednesday is really important. For the 3 weeks, these past couple of weeks, and the first part of this week, the sun travels through Aquarius, moving through gate 19, then gate 13, and then gate 49, where it is now. So when we look at this channel of sensitivity from the root center, the pressure center, to the solar plexus, where we find our feelings, our emotions, relationships, experiences in life, we during these couple of weeks, we get this whole channel activated. Now, if you've been feeling things come up in relationships, all about support, right? We need the support of others, and others want the support from us. And this is where we form the bond, the relationship. And I think if you've been experiencing any challenges with that over these past couple of weeks, this is why these transits impact us, and all of them give us an opportunity to learn more about who we are, to follow our personal path, to find our sense of inspiration and truth. And these issues this week, around these past couple of weeks, are centered around these relationships. Do you have the right principles for me, and do I have the principles for you? Now, one thing we can definitely say about the solar plexus is that it is about growth, development, and character development. And it always wants to keep going. As long as the solar plexus feels there's opportunity for growth and development, it'll stick with it. But when dealing with the gate 49, the archetype of acceptance or rejection, the solar plexus will give up when it feels there's no more hope in a relationship. So this is part of the thematic of this time period. Last week, the sun was in gate 13, the gate of listening. And it tells a lot about that story in relationships. Listening with an empathetic ear is key to this process. So we've got a few other aspects this week, and that's why I wanted to start with that overreaching concept, is that we're dealing with how do we connect with each other at an emotional level. Pretty important business in today's world. So there's the sun here on Monday, gate line 4. Now, the moon has entered Leo today and will form an opposition to Pluto. Now, anytime we're seeing moon opposite Pluto, we know we may be experiencing uncovered, hidden emotional truths that may come up in these conversations. One of the things supporting all this energy is Mars retrograde in Cancer. We've talked about this the last few weeks too. Mars is not really comfortable here, especially moving in the apparent retrograde backwards way. Is that we can feel you may see things like passive aggressive energy, or being very emotionally reactive. But what's supportive that started last week and still have in play this week is Mars is in a trine to Saturn. Now, this is where we can feel the energy of Mars and the discipline and wisdom and perseverance of Saturn, who's in gate 22. So, we're dealing with this story of emotional connecting with, and how this is working for us with Saturn in gate 22, which is the emotional energy to express our individuality. So, this is part of the dynamic here. How is this connection working? Are we supporting someone else's emotional truth? And are they willing to support our emotional truth? And how are our communication skills supporting that? So, just to be mindful that with Mars in retrograde again, it can be a little reactive. So, that tension is still there, but I really am enjoying the trine to Saturn because Saturn is there in Pisces in that 22, offering some stability, some life lessons, and offering the perseverance to stick it through in that sense. Additionally, we have, let me get a new drawing on here. Let's see. The sun in gate 49, line 4, is moving into a square to Uranus. Now, this is electric energy. Right? Uranus is like lightning. It brings sudden or shocking. And what's interesting about Uranus right now is Uranus came out of retrograde not too long ago and is finally moving forward. And it started its forward movement in gate 23, line 5. That's where it stopped, station, and is moving forward now. Now, this is called, it's in the channel of structuring, and this is the archetype of assimilation. This is the ability to express our individual inspiration. And with the energy, the shocking electric energy of Uranus, this would be a great time right now to find that expression, following authority at all times. But, some creative ideas or possibly some writing, like there's something that Uranus is able to do now that he's moving forward that may stimulate and electrify our individual expression. And it's in a square, the sun is moving into a square to it here on Monday, bringing the life force energy of the sun in this dynamic conversation with Uranus. And this will continue to grow as we move into the full moon on Wednesday. So let's go ahead and move it into Tuesday. As we get into Tuesday, the sun will have moved into line 5 of gate 49, and we can see that the sun is in that square to Uranus, and we've got Mercury right there. Now, Mercury was conjunct the sun on Sunday, so when we started out this week, it was past its exact conjunction, but they're still together here in, well, Mercury actually just moved into gate 30. They were together in 49. But when we have Mercury next to the sun here, we've got this stimulation of intellect here, the ability to communicate the life force energy with this Aquarian frequency. Right. And so there could be very intricate, complicated, social oriented conversations happening, but it's being fueled in that dynamic square with Uranus. So, not sure where it may go, but this is something we can tune into and listen to our conversations with others. But what it's pointing towards is that gate 23. Where is my individual voice within this dynamic? And again, all of this being supported this week with that Mars getting this free flowing trine in a supportive energy with hardworking Saturn. And as you can look at the solar plexus there, we've got 5 of 7 gates activated. So there's a lot of emotional quality to this week. And we're one day prior to the full moon. So since the new moon, these last couple of weeks, the moon has been growing in her illumination, growing with her emotional abundance, and things are amplified here. So this is some pretty shocking energy that we're moving in one day before the full moon. So let's take a look at that chart. And as we move into Wednesday, this is the one chart that I have that is all my charts are always run for noon Mountain Time, but I have this exact time of the full moon here, which is at 6:53 a.m. on Wednesday, and we can see we have a full moon in Leo, the sign of the sun, this fixed fire energy. And on the side of the sun, we're in gate 49, line 6. Now, if we think back to 2 weeks ago, we had the new moon in gate 19, line 3, the pressure to need the support of others in the archetype of emotional sensitivity. And now we've been growing in illumination for 2 weeks. We're getting the moon at the zenith of her illumination at the full moon in gate 49, line 6, the archetype of rejection or acceptance. Now it's line 6. And the moon herself is going to be in gate 4, the polarity to gate 49, which is the gate of formalization in the channel of logic. So it's a role model, potential truth and wisdom full moon from the line 6, and the moon being in gate 4. This potential logical awareness of what these past couple weeks have meant. Where do we move forward in these emotional conversations and relationships that we're having, possibly having a solution, a logical formalization of how we can reset the pattern of these relationships moving forward. Now, I've been talking about Uranus. Uranus in that gate 23, line 5, is in a T-square to the full moon. So this really, again, amplifies, electrifies. We may notice sudden shifts. Uranus is the wild card in the planets. We just really never know, but it's definitely in a T square, which is again a very potentially confrontational, dynamic energy that is asking for resolution. So, what do we do here? Well, certainly effective communication skills, right? Recognizing our Mars right now is in gate 53 in retrograde. There is a potential for a new cycle of development through these emotional processes we're having with others, following our authority, but listening with empathy to others. How are we able to express our highest sense of personal truth and inspiration within the challenges of a committed relationship, whether that be our loved one or family or close coworkers? I mean, just I think if we contemplate the relationships we're in, whatever ones we're having friction right now, this full moon has something to say about that. So this is a great period of time to contemplate this. What relationships do I feel like I've been getting the support from, and where am I not? And what decisions do I need to make to either enhance and further that relationship, or we may have that gate 49 rejection where it just says enough is enough here. But it is a line 6, and it is the moon herself in gate 4 is indicating something can shift here at this full moon. Some new logical pattern may emerge connected to not only our voice of truth and inspiration from gate 23 and Uranus in that T-square, but also with that Saturn trining Mars in gate 22. As I mentioned, there's a lot of gates activated in this solar plexus. So I would imagine there's going to be a lot of emotional things, maybe turmoil or maybe not. But again, just having the awareness that this is what is happening in the transit field allows us to go into our own frame of reference from our personal authority to ground ourselves into a method or modality of stability and recognize that everybody's going through this right now. That there things could, a difficult conversation could turn into an altercation at the drop of a pin, but it doesn't have to. Having this awareness with this particular frequency going on allows us to look at this chart and say, okay, I may have been triggered or stimulated in a challenging way by a significant other, but what does that mean for me? It's a chance to heal and grow. And not only when I say that, I think about the planet Chiron, also moving forward now in Aries and still in gate 51. Chiron just moved into line 6, and excuse me, we still have, or not still have, Neptune just recently moved into gate 25. So Chiron doesn't get an activation in this channel of initiation, but he's there. And so again, I'm sensing this potential invitation and initiation into this new emotional cycle of experience that we share with others. If we look at the chart, we have this entire collective emotional stream of experience all the way up to the gate 35, which is where Jupiter is. Jupiter just moved in to gate 35 on right about the time of this full moon. And what I'm really enjoying about Jupiter here, so Jupiter was in retrograde for quite a while, went all the way back, went through gate 35 forward, went through gate 35 backwards, stationed in gate 16, line 6, and is now finally moving forward in the gate of progress. Now, whether or not I think what I want to say is that if you've had something where you've been feeling like I just can't move anything forward here, I really think these next coming weeks with Jupiter moving forward and the archetype of progress, we may get a sense of that. Um, uh, there may be a potential during this initiation into a new cycle of emotional development where we're actually able to make some ground. We can make more sense of things as we feel our way through the conversation and the experience. And that Jupiter, on a little bit of a challenging note, we can see this activity with we got the sun and Mercury at the full moon. So there's an energy to talk about things. We've got the electrifying T-square to Uranus, but I think Jupiter here holds the potential. This is the planet of abundance. It's generally a planet of good fortune. The only downside to Jupiter can be sometimes too much of a good thing is too much. But anyway, his placement here in gate 35 is indicating with his forward movement that we may be able to gain some traction. So as we look across at these potentially dynamic interactions with people, there's an opportunity here in this new cycle of development that we can, if we follow our authority and it says, yes, I'm ready for this initiation, we're going to get a new Saturnian experience of our gate 22. He is the taskmaster. He brings us the life lessons. He doesn't always do it in the friendliest way, but he already has gone through gate 22 and back, and now he's also moving through gate 22 on his third phase. So when you think about the individual channel of 22, Uranus in 23, also going forward for the third time, I'm sensing that there's a lot of wind at our back to stand strong in our unique creative expression. Again, these limitations we may have felt. We had Pluto in gate 60 and the gate of limitations for a long time, now in gate 41 at the turn of the Rave New Year back in January. So, yeah, if there's been some stuck, there's been some limitations, I'm sensing real opportunity for growth right here. So we just want to be careful to not take the victim standpoint and project our challenges onto the other person, but to take that stimulation and ask ourselves, how can I grow and develop from this? With Chiron in that gate of shock and that powerful channel of initiation, this is an opportunity to move into our higher self. And with all that channel of synthesis energy that we've been having, man, what a beautiful full moon. I know for myself, I'm going to make some intentions prior to Wednesday about how I can grow in these relationships, how I can ask myself, what am I learning here? What are the needs that I have? How can I self-nourish myself with these new developments that I can now elevate my experience for myself, but also in how I share and support others, part of my community? So very dynamic, very powerful, could get a little tricky. There's a lot of energy going on here. And so we'll just have to see. But anyway, I do wish everyone a wonderful full moon. We'll check in next week and see how that's going for everybody. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. We'll go into Thursday now. And on Thursday, the sun will move into gate 30. And so here again, we've got this entire abstract experiential stream. We are all in this experience together, so to speak. And boy, are we getting an opportunity to experience our feelings with each other. Whether your solar plexus is defined or undefined, irregardless, we are all carrying an emotional frequency here. And how are we growing with that? So, with the sun in gate 30 and Mercury still in gate 30, we may be feeling some desires. We have emotional desires to move forward into a new cycle of experience. And with Mars in that gate 53, it feels like we are. The question being is, what is the character development? Am I growing as a person? Is the other person still growing? Are we providing the support we both need to do that? And really supporting our unique individuality within the confines of a commitment and expectations. And I think that's the word I want to mention here is to be mindful of our expectations right now. It's so easy in our relationships to get caught up in what we expect the other to do or feel like. But really, this is an external transit offering internal growth. What is my expectations of myself that I can heal, forgive, offer support, move past this into a more sense of ease and refinement. So again, very dynamic week as a result of that full moon. And here with the sun in gate 30 and the earth and the polarity in gate 29 is the archetype of saying yes. Saying yes to my desires, but we need to be clear that they're coming from my personal authority and truth. Does that gate 30 really apply to me, or am I getting caught up in the noise out there? This is where following authority is such a critical, supportive element to this entire process. Okay, also, yeah, that's everything I had there for Thursday. Okay, let's go ahead and move it into Friday. And on Friday, we can see Mercury enters Pisces. Now he's still in gate. Well, actually, he's moved into gate 55. So we had him in gate 30. That's actually where we have the sign change from Aquarius to Pisces. And here on Friday, Mercury is going to move into gate 55. This is the gate, part of our individual, very personal, creative selves. The gate of abundance, emotional spirit. I mean, look at that solar plexus. We've got 5 out of the 7 gates activated, and still that entire experiential stream. It's a lot of emotion, right? And here Mercury's want to communicate, but remember that Mercury in Pisces is a bit challenged here. He's as far away from his home sign in Virgo on the other side of the wheel in Pisces. So Mercury really likes to be focused and analytical and really hyper acute to the details. But we're in the watery world of Pisces, right? He doesn't have those analytical skills so much. It's a great time for using our Mercury energy for art, music, dance, flowing with that watery Neptunian, creative, mystical, spiritual. This is where Mercury can really communicate in other ways. But it's going to be very important, I think, because he's in that solar plexus, right? We've got so much going on there, and I didn't mention the nodes this week, but the nodes just went into gate 36 and 6 very recently. So we're going to get almost 3 months of the 36-6 friction and conflict and crisis and all this. These are heavy duty keynotes, but they are part of our experiential way. We can't grow without friction. In fact, Gate 6, the tagline in the Ravi Ching says, the fundamental design component of progress is the law that growth does not exist without friction. I think that's a good mantra for us to keep in the back of our mind right now, just to recognize this when we're out in public, or especially as we may have been dealing with very close emotional tribal bonds. This is all being stimulated right now. How am I regulating my emotions? How am I using my somatic tools to breathe, to bring attention and awareness to my body? This is so fundamentally important, I think, to this period of time right now. Okay, so there's Friday. Uh, Not a whole lot of other exact aspects. We do have the moon moving through Virgo, bringing that emotional attention to details. Let's go ahead and take it into Saturday. And on Saturday, boy, look at that body graph. We actually have three full channels defined. That's pretty rare to actually get three channels. One of the reasons for that is the moon, as of Saturday, was traveling through gate 46. And as I mentioned, with the Earth in gate 29, we get the entire channel of discovery, a design of succeeding where others fail or failing where others succeed. But what I love about this channel, even though this is a quick moving transit with the moon in gate 46, it'll be gone by the afternoon. Of course, the Earth will still be in gate 29. Is this is the discovery of this archetype is coming from the solar plexus. And look at that solar plexus, right? How we're doing, the reason we're doing all this is to discover something about ourselves, to be in the right relationships, to have the correct emotional connections for ourselves. All very much part of the process. And I think the underlying crux here is how is that affecting my emotional truth? Right? My emotional expression of gate 22, my individual creative inspiration in that sense, the breakthrough insight that we may be getting, all of these external experiences are happening for each of us. Why am I involved in this, and how can I grow from this? Wonderful questions, I think, for all of us to be asking ourselves right now. And I want to mention Venus. I haven't brought her up for this week yet, but she entered Aries last week. And when Venus is in Aries, she also is very far from home in Libra on the other side of the wheel. So she doesn't really have access to all of her regal potential, but she does. What I like about Venus in Aries is that this is the feminine power. This is calling upon our yin energy. Whether we're male or female, you can take the gender role out of it. This is the opportunity she's bringing us in Aries to stand strong with that Aries energy to express our feminine yin sensitive qualities. So there can be real, I would just call it growth development here. So she is in gate 17 in Aries. And we had that full moon in logic circuitry in gate 4. So with Venus in gate 17, she may be working on what her opinions are about this. And doing it with an Arian way, which can be a little aggressive sounding sometimes. Aries likes to push boundaries. We push out with our Arian energy to press up against other boundaries. But the value of this right now is we're trying to figure out where we stand in the emotional sensitivity of all this solar plexus energy. It's a murky, emotional, very Piscean world out there. And so, how are we doing with that? How are we talking to ourselves and connecting with our sense of truth and emotional inspiration is really what's in the offering, I think, this week. Okay, let's move it into Sunday here. And on Sunday, the one aspect I wanted to mention, it's not even really very bright. Mercury's at 4 degrees Pisces. So throughout the day, Mercury's going to form a square and a half with that Chiron. A square and a half is a lot like a square. It's a dynamic energy asking for change, asking for growth and development. And Mercury's in that gate of the spirit, in that loaded up solar plexus right here. So I think Mercury right here is working through that Piscean murky world to communicate this is what gives me emotional spirit. This is what lights me up emotionally. And it's part of the same frequency of individuality that gate 22 is right now. So again, just to sort of recap and review this week that we're in, it has a tremendous emotional quality to it. We're coming off the full moon that was bookended by gate 19 and gate 49. We're dealing with sensitivities, both ours and others. It's tender ground. It can be challenging ground with Mars in retrograde in the watery sign of Cancer. And so I think we're going to see this out there, whether it's arguments and relationships or whatever. It is a wonderful time to communicate about that right now, to find that space where we can really listen to the other and they will also listen to us, because what that solar plexus with all those activations right now, it's asking us to grow in emotional maturity aligned with our personal sense of truth, authenticity, and inspiration. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed the report this week. And one last mention of our new course called Awaken, coming out the first week of March. Please go to emergebydesign.net to read more about it. We hope to see you there. Have a great week. Bye for now. Really important for the 3 weeks.